Welcome, everyone. This is the July 28th, 2025 meeting of the Duxbury Selectboard. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Next, we'll move into open forum. This is the part of our agenda where we share ideas with one another. It's not a discussion. It's items for future agendas and opportunities for us to highlight things that have happened since the last meeting. As always, I start with the board, and I will start with, to my left, with Mrs. McNabb.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Guitart.
I have nothing to...
Nothing.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Tonight, I note on our agenda that we have the review of the town manager. I would point out that it's not a public hearing at that point, but we do want to hear from the public. If you're interested in addressing us concerning the town manager's performance, that opportunity will be now during open forum, and I'll open the floor. This will not be a discussion. These are simply comments, and it's your opportunity to address us in light of the fact that we will not be having a discussion further on in the agenda. Would anybody like to address us for any reason?
Yes, I'd like to start.
Yes, ma'am. If you please identify yourself for our record.
Thank you. Should I speak into this?
Yeah, that's for TV, but we need to hear you in here too.
I'm Maureen Sullivan Caruso.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. It was only about a month ago that I learned, just by happenstance at Town Hall, that changes in the hours of operation were going to occur. It hadn't been known to any of the 50-odd relatives I have in Duxbury. And quite honestly, I was perplexed by it. I was just simply up at the Town Hall finding myself looking for a transfer station temporary sticker, and it was revealed to me that the hours of operation were going to change there and at the transfer station. But there had been no discussion whatsoever, even with employees of the town, department heads. So I found myself finally talking to Mr. Reed shortly after I discovered this information, and he was quite unprofessional and very rude. In fact, his exact words to me on the phone were, "The hours of operation are not dictated by the town of Duxbury or the Board of Selectmen. They're dictated by me." His words, not mine. So that was all I wanted to hear from him. He confirmed my suspicions. And so I put my opinion in the Clipper because I was really taken aback by that tone, the arrogance I've never seen before, and we're the fifth generation in this town. So it was disturbing to hear somebody who our very tax dollars pay his salary talk like that. And then I learned other things, like the destruction of our beautiful bridge to be given over to the hands of the state because we don't want to give that to the townspeople to share that information. I mean, we have always sustained the bridge, so why would we turn that over to the state? That doesn't make sense. That's the very charm of our community. I don't feel like there's any love of neighbor here at all, from the government to the people, sharing information, gathering our thoughts, our feelings on the very thing that drove us all here, brought us all together. So coupled with ego, destruction of property, sand mining, wells, springs that we didn't ever have to worry about being, polluted or the health of them, they're now in question. And all of this, and the townspeople are asleep. They don't know because nobody's communicating. Our phones go off if there's a parade or a water main break. But something as important as the hours of operation or the fact that our beautiful bridge may be overtaken by the state, or we hear about the plovers, but we don't hear about the sand mining and the health of the water. What's going on? We have trusted blindly, and we're waking up to seeing things destroyed right on your watch. We ask you to take control of this situation and share it with the community, because I think people would be not only interested, they'd want to vote on it. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else with public forum?
Susan Curtis, High Street. I wrote a rather lengthy letter, and I won't read it tonight. I'll give it to Nancy, and I will plan on videotaping it and have somebody put it on Facebook for me, because I'm not on Facebook. And I'm also going to take out a full-page ad in the Clipper, because I think it's an important letter, and I will wait to get it out there that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else
Thank
wish
you.
to address us for open forum? Mr. Weil.
Friend Weiler, 7 Trout Farm Road. I just basically would like to add my 2 cents. I've had the pleasure of working at Duxbury long enough as a volunteer to have met all 4 of our town managers, back to the first and the second and the third and now the 4th. And the current manager has been here for, I guess, 20-plus years or so. 13 years. And I think we have to look at the body of work over the period of time and to really assess the success or failure of a given person. And I think the town is very well run. I think we're fortunate to have the town government that we have in Duxbury. I think it's been a give and take over the years, and this town manager has done as well as the other 3 in their jobs and their roles. I look at the way things function in town. Our roads get plowed, our fires get put out. The police certainly stand and do their jobs, and I'd like to think that he's part of that whole functioning organization. And I think it's not a personality contest here. Sometimes you have to say no, and you have to make tough decisions, and you have to stick your neck out because you're taking a leadership position, and you shouldn't be punished for those things. And I think, by and large, I'm glad he's here, and I think he's done a hell of a job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see anyone else, so we'll move on to our first agenda item, which is swearing in 2 new police officers, Officers Connor Doyle and Officer Michael Rockoff. Chief.
Good evening, I'm Chief Michael Carbone, and thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. Tonight, we're going to swear in 2 of our newest officers, Mike Rockoff and Connor Doyle. The first officer, I'll give you a little background, is Mike Rockoff. Officer Mike Rockoff, he grew up on the South Shore, and after graduating from the University of Vermont, he served as a police officer in Hingham for 15 years, while earning his master's degree in criminal justice. He resides here in Duxbury with his wife, Melissa, and their 2 young children, Owen and Peyton, who are all here today, and their golden retriever, Oakley, who's not here tonight, for obvious reasons. His years of service demonstrate a strong commitment to public safety and community involvement. Officer Rockoff also volunteers his time with Duxbury Youth Sports, coaching and mentoring young kids in the community. And tonight, Officer Rockoff is going to be pinned by his 2 children with a little assistance from his wife, Melissa. Come on up, Mike and family.
If you could repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Michael Rockoff,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the bylaws of the town of Duxbury,
and the bylaws of the town of Duxbury,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
all the duties imposed upon me
all the duties imposed upon me
as an officer
as an officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. Thank
Come on up.
Please. Congratulations.
We get some high fives?
Oh, heavy. Look at that.
Nice job. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah. A while ago. Congratulations. Next up is Officer Connor Doyle. He grew up here in Duxbury, played both hockey and lacrosse before graduating from Duxbury High School in 2012. After graduation, he continued playing hockey for both the Bay State Breakers and the Boston Bandits. But once his hockey career ended, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 2015. He spent 4 years in the Marines, being deployed twice overseas and being trained to serve and protect the highest level. After the Marines, he had various jobs, but eventually started his law enforcement career in the town of Plymouth for 2.5 years. He's happily married to his wife, Megan Doyle, and they currently reside in Plymouth with their golden retriever, Bogey. They spelled it Bogey? Bogey, yeah. His parents, Mike and Shelby Doyle, still reside in town in the house he grew up in. In Officer Connor's own words, he says, "Duxbury has always been my home, and I could not be prouder to serve the great people of this beautiful town for the rest of my career." Officer Doyle? Come on up.
So if you could please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Connor Doyle,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the bylaws of the town of Duxbury,
and the bylaws of the town of Duxbury,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
and I will faithfully and impartially perform
all the duties imposed upon me
all the duties imposed upon me
as an officer
as an officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Mr. Doyle, thank you.
Perfect. All right.
Welcome. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
That concludes it. I appreciate everybody's time, and thank you for your time as well.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks for coming.
And thanks to all the officers and families that came out tonight as well. Appreciate that. All right, next on our agenda is discussion regarding conduit installation requests, Birch Street, Roundtree Drive, and Treetop Lane. This will be presented by the town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll give everybody just a moment here.
The last agenda item was much funner than this
Yes,
conduit one.
for sure.
What's that? Well,
I said the last agenda item
I
was
guess it's
funner.
perspective, but I agree with you, yeah, because I think the Eversource people might be interested. So here we go. Discussion regarding conduit installation requests on Birch Street, Roundtree Drive, and Treetop Lane. So the town received a petition from NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy, the petitioner, for the following. Installation of 5 pull boxes and 1,369 feet plus or minus of 1 to 2 inch conduit. This construction is necessary to replace part of a faulted conduit. God, excuse me. An administrative hearing on this request was held at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, July 23rd, in my office, for which notifications were sent to the abutters by certified mail. In addition, legal notice of the hearing was published in the Duxbury Clipper on July 16th, and then you have a memo to the board with the corresponding documentation. About 5 or 6 people showed up. We had a fun conversation, talked about it. They all seem to be in favor of it, and that's why I've presented it to you, along with the proposed suggested motion.
Are there any questions from the board?
There was no negative feedback at all from the?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
I do have one question, Rainey. I noticed that the proposed location
Yeah.
of the conduit is under the pavement as opposed to, and I know that the
Could you speak louder, please?
sure, the pavement is on top of where the wires are going to be,
Yes.
but I see that the right-of-way appears to be wider. In other words, next to the shoulders, there appears to be unpaved
Yep.
land. I wonder why that Eversource is asking to dig up the pavement for the conduit rather than burying it in the soil that appears to be adjacent to the paved way.
Julie, who is the representative of this project, is on Zoom, but are we able to grab her?
Yeah, it's not showing up right now because of the Wi-Fi.
She's on mine. I turned my microphone on.
So maybe she can hear me.
Okay.
Maybe
Can you
not.
hear me?
Hey,
Yes. Yeah,
we
look at
can.
that.
Hi. It is going to be trenchless. They are going to try to stay in the right of way as much, but they won't be cutting the road. It is going to be trenchless.
Can you explain that a little bit? I'm not sure I understand what trenchless means.
So they won't have to dig. They're going to go underneath the road. We are installing some pole boxes. This direct buried is old. And now we put in pole boxes along the way, so if we need to replace a portion, we don't have to take it all up. We're able to do it have access in sections now. And like I said, it is going to stay in the right of way, maybe on the side, maybe in the road, but we won't have to cut. It's going to be, like I said, when they do trenches, it's just they're gonna go on underneath.
Okay, thank you. So it's going to be under the pavement, but the pavement will not be dug up.
No, it will be near the pole boxes, but not the whole length of it, absolutely not.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I will take a motion.
I move that,
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, go to the microphone.
John Baldwin, 110 High Street. When did Roundtree and, not Roundtree, what is it called, Round? Treetop and Round? It was Roundtree.
Yeah.
When was that road accepted, those two roads accepted? We used to own a piece of property on Roundtree, and that wasn't a town road. Neither one of them.
Don't know.
Well, that's a
Do you remember?
very important question, because we can't, if it's not an accepted public road, it's a different ballgame.
For utility installation? I don't know.
Yeah, because it would be up to the homeowners, the property owners would own the roadway, and therefore, I'm not sure it would even require our input or approval.
If Tara's upstairs, she's got the, if I don't know if you can delay this or something, the vote, but she's got the accepted road information right upstairs in the clerk's office.
Yeah.
Well, we have somebody from Eversource on the line, right?
Yeah, as she
So,
knows.
so I guess I put it to Eversource, to the extent that this conduit may be within ways that are not public ways, does that affect the vote this evening? In other words, I think you only need us to grant permission for public ways.
That's correct, it would be for public. I'm looking right now on the street listing, otherwise we'd have to get easements from the homeowners, but I'm looking as well right now.
Okay.
Actually, can I ask, John, I got a quick question. Which one was not an accepted road?
Both Roundtree and Treetop, because Treetop's beyond Roundtree.
Okay.
So Roundtree is right off of Birch.
Okay, thank you. Well, we can
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm happy to give this another minute, because the next item on the agenda is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Um,
It does say in the Eversource diagram, it does say public way, Birch Street, Roundtree Drive, and Treetop Lane.
Well, Birch Street's definitely public.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the way it's written, it includes Roundtree Drive and Treetop Lane, the way it's written here.
They do that to other streets, not public ways.
The street listing that I have shows that they are maintained by the town.
That's not the question.
Okay.
Well, do you want to
So-
revisit this?
I texted
Yeah.
Sheila, but yeah, I think we're going to have to.
Okay,
Okay.
I'd be happy to go upstairs.
No, it's okay, we'll reschedule it. Thank you.
all
We
right.
can pick it up later in the evening if we get a quick, because I do think it's just looking on the list to see if it's an accepted public way.
Yeah.
Who can do that?
John's offering to do it right now. And we can put
Thank
it
you,
on
John.
the later end of the agenda. It's
All right.
your call.
Julie, what's your pleasure? Do you want us to come at this a different evening, or you want to try it again later this meeting?
Maybe a momentary recess.
It doesn't, I can stay on the line, it's perfectly fine with me, or, it depends, it's all what you guys want, honestly.
Want to recess momentarily? I
Yeah.
mean, we'll
Okay.
come back
Well,
after the budget.
we won't recess us, but we'll move on to the next item. Actually, you know what, let's do something easy. Next, we'll do the declaration of surplus items, cemetery vehicle.
Perfect.
And DPW vehicles.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Go right ahead.
Norman Smith of the DPW has asked that the following vehicles be declared as surplus as they have exhausted their useful life. A 2011 Chevy Silverado for the DPW department, a 2007 Ford Econovan for the DPW department, and a 2014 Ford Explorer in the cemetery department.
Okay. With the proceeds to go into the general fund, I believe?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great. Any questions from the board? All right, may I have a motion?
I move that Select Board declare as surplus the following: 2011 Chevrolet Silverado VIN number 1GCNKPE05BZ 394689 DPW. 2007 Ford Econovan VIN number 1FTSS 34L67DA 63874 DPW. And 2014 Ford Explorer, VIN number 0EGA50189 Cemetery, in order to allow these items to be disposed of, sold, auctioned, or donated, all in accordance with Mass General Law, Section 30B, and the town's rules and regulations, with proceeds to go to the general fund.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries 4-0. We can now, what's that?
Sheila said, yes, they are town roads.
Yes, they are town roads. Okay, well, let's move back then to the conduit installations for Birch Street, Roundtree Drive, and Treetop Lane. And thank you, John, for raising that issue. We do have a confirmation that they're public ways. So let's take a motion.
I move that the Select Board authorize the order for the installation of 5 pull boxes and 1,369 feet, plus or minus, of 1 to 2 inch conduit on Birch Street, Roundtree Drive, and Treetop Lane, as presented, along with the conditions presented by Sheila Skarsky, Director of Public Works, and that N-Star Electric, DBA Eversource Energy, contact the Duxbury Department of Public Works at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of the project.
You have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Julie. All right, next on our agenda is the discussion pertaining to fiscal 27 budget planning, continued from May 5, 19, and the June 9 meetings, presented by Rainey and Mary.
Correct. I'll begin with just a brief intro. Wanted to let you know that we've been talking about the budget, Mary and I, and then today we went a much larger step, and we met with all of the department heads, or all of the ones that were able to attend today here in this room, to go over what we're going to talk about tonight, which are getting a sense of the board for the general parameters for the FY27 budget. We understand the board's perspective in that there's a great interest in preserving public safety, which is fire and police, also preserving to the extent that we can the DPW department, and then with regard to the schools, making sure that they have adequate funding too. But rather than get into the details, that's what Mary's here for, so I'll let her do that.
Mary?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So tonight's discussion is, I'm not going to be presenting a slide deck or anything. I just wanted to have a discussion with you folks to confirm our understanding of your priorities and the strategy for the FY27 budget, and to bring you up to date on a couple of things. So the town is actively working to close our fiscal 25 books for year-end June 30, 2025. In doing so, our forecast for FY27 is being actively updated as we look at and analyze our actual revenue and expenditure performance. So our financial performance as we close out fiscal 25 will help inform some of the decisions that we make for fiscal 27. We're actively working on closing those books, and I anticipate that that should be done by the end of August, so at which time we will be able to have final numbers to base our decisions on for actual revenue and expenditure performance. To remind the board and the public that as we head into the fiscal 27 budget cycle, there are currently 6 collective bargaining agreements that have expired. They expired as of June 30th, 2025. So our 6 town bargaining units are actively in negotiations with us at this time, and those negotiations will impact the FY27 budget as well. And those bargaining units include the police commanders, police patrol and sergeants, firefighters union, DPW union, library union, and public safety dispatch union. The department heads have received refresher training on our ClearGov platform, which is the online portal, the online web tool that we use in order to prepare and submit our budgets, not only to the select board, but also to the finance committee and to other boards and committees. That training has happened in the past week, and before we open up and initiate the budget request round for the department heads, I wanted to confirm with the select board this evening your specific FY27 priorities as we last discussed them on June 9th. So as we approach the 27 budget, the priorities are first and foremost to fund all fixed and mandatory costs as was listed in the June 9th schedule that we reviewed. So if you remember, that was the schedule where I had listed debt service, cherry sheet assessments, pension assessments, payroll taxes, snow and ice removal, Chapter 115 benefits, and all of the other fixed and mandatory costs that come off the top as we prepare that budget. So that's priority number 1. Priority number 2 was to retain the existing staffing levels in the police and fire departments. That's inclusive of the 2 positions each that were restored in the June 16th special town meeting. To fund the schools up to a 3% increase as we have indicated in the forecast. So if you remember, each time we've talked about the forecast, and even during the budgeting process for FY26, as we looked ahead, our forecasts were setting upper limits for expenditures for various departments and groups of departments. The school department or the education line was being forecasted at an up to 3% increase, which is inclusive of all costs, collective bargaining, and the like. So I have that listed as priority number 3. Priority number 4 is to look at all other budget lines in order to prepare a balanced 5A budget, which may result in additional reductions in force. And the last priority is to develop a 5B budget that seeks to restore the reductions in force and provide sustainability for at least the next 2 fiscal years. So those were the top 5 priorities that I took away from your discussions on May 5th, June 9th, and May 5th, May 19th, I think it was, and June 9th. if I have those dates correct. As Rainey said, we did have a recent meeting with our department heads where a number of suggestions, ideas, and thoughts were put on the table for evaluation. I'm going to list some of them, but at this time, please note that none of these options are included in the FY27 budget projections. So by me saying them here tonight, it does not mean that we are going to be taking action on them. It is just simply ideas that have been proposed to be evaluated and vetted during this process. And some of them are items that we have talked about from the Sustainable Budget Task Force. They include revisiting short-term rentals in a thoughtful way, potentially adding parking kiosks at Matakeesit, Howlands Shipyard, and the West Lot, sponsorship signs at sporting fields, sale of town-owned property, including the Wright Building, the Girl Scout House, and potentially others, looking at our property insurance deductibles in order to reduce our premiums and raising our deductibles, evaluating adding additional 9 holes to the North Hill Golf Course, options for solid waste removal and disposal, potential reduction in working hours across all departments, full or partial closure of the pool, regionalizing services where possible. As we've discussed, we are currently working with the town of Kingston to regionalize veterans services, but there are other areas of our budget that we will be looking at in order to do the same. So those are some of the items that the department heads had proposed for us to consider as we embark upon this FY27 budget cycle. We will be looking at those and others. But in terms of next steps, assuming that we agree with the priorities that have been laid out here and before you, that the next steps would be for us to develop and publish a budget calendar, to open the budget request round and instruct the department heads to prepare their budgets during the month of August, and for Rainey and I to then prepare a first draft of a budget for review by the Select Board by September 30th.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay?
Questions from the board, comments?
Just with regard to priority number 2, which was public safety, you mentioned police and fire department. There's obviously aspect of public safety within the Department of Public Works. We need to define what those are and include that, I'm suggesting, within public safety, right? Keeping the roads open, responding to storms, all that kind of stuff that DPW do in support of the police and fire department.
Okay, so to that extent, the DPW departments, we know that we've had reductions in force in the highway department, in vehicle maintenance, and in administration. And so under the umbrella of Public Works, there are multiple departments.
Right.
And so I want to make sure I understand what you're communicating. So your strategy for police and fire was to retain the existing staffing level.
Correct.
So I want to confirm that that's what you're saying for DPW, and if so, in which departments of the Department of Public Works? So they have lands
There's,
and natural.
Yeah, the highway safety, right?
So there's more than just highway safety, right? So
Yeah,
there's.
no, I'm
Yep.
looking, sorry, I've got the.
You
I've
got, I
it.
got the same one here too.
Okay, good. So I'd suggest highway safety would be one that we want to make sure is adequately staffed to be able to respond to
Okay, so
events.
that was a department that has lost 2 positions.
Okay, so.
Okay, so are you talking about restoring those 2
Restoring 2
positions?
positions, yes.
Or maintaining the staffing level that we have right now in the FY26 budget?
Does Sheila Skarsky feel that she can respond adequately to?
No, she does not.
All right, well, then we have to add the 2. I'm
We actually
recommending
discussed
that
it
we
today.
actually
Well,
add-
I'm not sure that we have the I'm not sure that we have the information to just say, yes, the restoration of 2 positions under that category
Mm-hmm.
is sufficient, or is it sufficient for 1? Or I think we need additional information before, there's going to be a lot of trade-offs
Yeah,
as
I
we
think
move
we've-
forward. So
I totally, yeah.
yeah, so I want to be careful that, we don't overreach again in any area. So don't you think we need more information?
I think we've got to start somewhere. Amy, you're quite right. Why don't we, this is a contingency budget, right? We haven't seen the numbers, but a basic commitment that we have is for public safety. All right, so if Sheila Skarsky is saying that a highway department, which is there to respond to events, right, is understaffed right now, let's just do a first pass. Recommend that we add those two, and then when we get to see the full budget, the 5A, then that's when we start having a conversation as to what the other impacts for other departments will be. And then we can do then it's not two, but then it's one, because another department that provides an essential service will not be able to private. So we've got to start somewhere. Yeah, we've got to define one post to see where the other post lies, right? And kind of interpolate between the two. So I suggest that we place a marker and start, and then we can then debate as to, well, we have two highway safety, but we have to take it from this department. Well, this department can no longer provide a service, then we can enter into the debate. Again, we're right, we don't have information right now, but why don't we define the frame and then kind of take a look at what the numbers are?
Randy?
A question just for clarification. When you say the two positions, and it could be three, it could be one, I don't know, but when you say two positions in DPW, are you referring to the contingency budget, or are you referring to what we would call the 5A budget?
Well, this is where we got to start, right? So again, we prioritize public safety.
Yes.
All right? It's very easy, police and fire is public safety, right? But we've got to keep the roads
And to
open.
that, you say no cuts.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. And then
Yep.
we've got to cover the restorations
yes.
we have
Yep,
right there.
yep. Keep all
So
that.
no cuts.
Yep.
All right, so maybe Sheila can help us with this conversation, but what does Sheila need to keep the roads open and ensure that when there's an event.
Yeah.
So you're
that
gonna.
that people can respond adequately, right?
Right.
If the roads if there's a storm and there's trees out there and they can't respond because they don't have the staffing levels, then the ambulance can't get there or the policeman
But
can't
may
get
I
there.
ask
That's
an
right.
important question, which is, are these positions vacant because of the budget? Or are they vacant because they're currently vacant and they haven't been able to fill those? Are the vacancies a direct product of the
Override, not
of the
passing.
override?
Yeah, I see.
Because when we voted on the override, we knew we were not going to be staffing two positions in police, two
Yeah.
in fire.
Yep.
And I don't recall the number for DPW, but
Six.
it was six in
6
positions.
Four field and then one staff, one
Admin.
admin, sorry.
Okay, so.
Okay, so
Go ahead, Mary.
I think what you're trying to do is build the final budget.
No, I'm
right?
not trying to build the
But
final budget.
In terms of answering this particular question.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say,
Yeah.
and so I'm looking for information guiding, regarding the 5A budget.
Correct.
To put together a balanced budget.
Yes.
The DPW department, which suffered 4 reductions in the FY '26 budget. What I am hearing is that we want to maintain the FY '26 staffing level with no further reductions. And when the department head puts together their budget requests, and we give them an opportunity to tell us what their department looks like, then you will be able to make that decision on whether that impact is too great or whether you are in favor of restoring additional positions to that department.
I think what Fernando's saying is for those 4, which of those are public safety related versus another function in the DPW?
So honestly, they all are when you're talking about public safety related to snow and ice removal.
So those were all snow and ice.
All
They
of our
can be,
yeah.
they're interchangeable. They plow,
I don't know,
basically.
being specific enough for you.
But to answer Amy's question, which was a great question, I forgot about that, right? So they had a number of vacancies. So the contingency budget, the 5A budget that was approved, basically removed the funding for those vacancies, right? So I think the question you're asking, Amy, is basically, they're operating right now, and they seem to have operated okay with these vacancies. So can you maybe clarify that? Are they actually reduced 4 positions, or they didn't fund the 4 vacancies?
So in the FY '25 budget, they had funding for 4 positions, and they had staffing challenges filling those positions. In FY '26, those positions were not funded.
Correct.
So they will not be filled.
So Sheila
So
operated and delivered public safety with 4 vacancies in fiscal year '25 then,
For a portion
For a
of it.
portion of the year.
Yeah.
a portion of the year.
Which brings me back to needing to, maybe it isn't 4, maybe it's 2, or maybe it's a different number, and I guess I just don't have the information to know what that number is.
I have 2 things. I'm sorry, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. 2 things. One is, for everybody's information, we're talking about 5A and 5B up here. I don't know that everybody's familiar with what those are. 5A is what we would call the...
Omnibus.
Right. It's last year's budget plus 2.5% plus new growth.
Yep.
Basically, right?
That's it.
And then 5B would be what we'd call an override budget that would ask the voters to consider, all right? So when we're talking about 5A and 5B, that's what we're talking about here.
Correct.
With respect to staffing, I don't know that I'm in a position to tell any department how many heads they should have in here or there or everywhere. I leave it to the professionals to tell us what resources they need, and then I think it's up to us as a board, given our direction, to say, hey, these are priorities, and then leave it to the departments to tell us how you're going to allocate your resources to achieve those priorities. And if it includes more bodies, for example, not suggesting that we want to throw bodies at things, maybe this technology or whatever, but that then we're involved in that discussion to say, okay, this is we need to shift these resources from A to B, or we need to really ask the voters to consider an override or what have you. But just as we're talking, everybody's got great points up here, but I just don't want to get tied up too much in the minutia of head count, where I don't know that we're necessarily going to know what the right number is from this perspective.
Maybe then the other way to ask the question, that he's asking the question, instead of putting a number to it, right? Do we consider, as a board, that element of DPW as public safety?
I certainly do.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
of
then we say this, the priority is not just police, fire department, but it's also highway safety.
That's what
Okay,
we
so
needed
just
to know.
Department 422.
Okay.
Well, see, I don't want to get into.
But that's what we're asking. We have to make a
I think
decision.
we've-
for it.
I think
We
you-
can't
I
just
think we've kind of-
not say anything,
Well,
right?
Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this enough with,
Yeah.
I think we get the idea, and maybe we just need a further discussion with Sheila at some point.
Yeah.
About
You
the
want the
needs.
roads plowed, you want the dirt.
It's
the
been a
roads
year and a
sw-
half.
I know, I think I know what you want.
Right, and we need the faucets to have water coming
Yeah,
out of them.
That's
You know,
important too. Yes.
That's, so.
But that's a different department.
Well, that's why I'm saying I don't want to get into department numbers, because.
No,
You say, well, the road's plowed, but my faucet isn't.
What we were looking
So,
for
you
was,
know.
was,
That's in
was a guideline for the
budget.
general concept, and I think we have it, with respect to the DPW.
Mike, go right ahead.
There are other aspects of the budget, and I know, or I don't know, after the last meeting, are there other ideas about contributions or other pieces of the budget that could be reduced to save operational pieces here?
Oh, sure. I mean.
Or do you have, I don't want to know, like, I was just wondering if there's a plan, if there is like an idea, and if it's too early, fine, but I just.
Actually,
didn't
it's not too early. It's kind of right on time, because that's what we were talking about today. We ran through a range of ideas. Maybe it is closing town hall completely and reducing the hours of the staff. That's a 12 to 13% cut for the salaries of the employees that are in
Can you
the.
speak up, please? I'm sorry, we're having difficulty.
Can
Forgive
you
me.
sit up? There's plenty of seats right up front. Come on up, maybe you can hear us better.
In our department head meeting today, we were talking about a number of different ideas, one of which would be actually closing town hall for all departments.
On Friday.
At all levels, on Fridays. That's a 5.5-hour day for people, and that would represent a 12 to 13% reduction for all the staff. Now, that was simply an idea that was floated. It doesn't mean we're going to do it. It would,
Has there been an idea of how much money that would save?
not yet, no. We only know that.
And that's, I guess, what I was wondering, is there like a solid idea that either of you have thought about to get this? It's about $1 million gap. we're
Right.
talking
Well,
about here. So
800 and something.
800, but it's significant.
Oh, yeah, it's a big nut.
For this 5A budget. So we're not talking about one position in highway, we're talking about a big chunk.
I'll
So
cut
is
to the
there-
chase. I'll cut to the chase.
Yes, thank
We
you.
talked about a whole bunch of ideas, okay? What it boiled down to was, again, the preservation of fire, police, and now we have direction on DPW. Schools, we had suggested, what were we doing? Was it level service, or was it 3%?
3%.
3%. That's kind of there. That's kind of where we're headed for 5A. To get there, to fill that hole, we were looking at fee increases across the board, some of which could be dramatic, some might not, but that's all subject to discussion. And then the conversation ended on not a positive note, but it would have to be cutting positions in those other departments that I didn't mention. That's what it's really going to boil down to, because that's what the reality is. We all know what the expense budgets are, and there are some things that can be cut here and there. We can look for shared services. We can look at all kinds of interesting ideas, many of which are good, many of which could still move forward. But as the Sustainable Budget Task Force articulated last year, those can't all happen overnight. They can't happen quick enough, in other words, for us to have a meaningful result of those reductions. They could happen over time, but it would take a year, 2, 3. But eventually, it's going to come down to personnel.
Right. And this is rapidly, so I would assume that in year 2, that deficit would grow if we continue to not fund this with a 5B.
We will continue to face financial challenges funding this budget for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question about the 3%?
No, us first, then we'll go to the
About
public.
the 3% for the schools. Is that a historical number that you typically use, or how was that, how did you come up with that?
So there is not a consistent historical number for the school department. If you look at year-over-year increases, they vary, and they can go anywhere from 2.5% to 5%. For a typical school district to roll over a year and maintain level services, you will hear superintendents talk about a 3.5% increase that would fund a full level services budget. However, we can't afford a full level services 3.5% budget for the school department. So all of the forecasts that have been presented to you over the course of the last budget cycle and this one have included a projection of up to 3% for the school department. That's where it came from.
Oh, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Well, just another, sorry,
Right ahead.
but on Mike's comments about, where savings may be found. And that's certainly not, always a happy conversation. However, there were some of the items that the department heads came up with, such as the closure of the pool. Will we be provided with that amount of savings? I think that,
Yeah.
for things like that, we need to know how much of a chunk, if that were to be.
Yep. Great question. It's when we asked the department head meeting today. If we do X, what is the result of X? And they'll provide us with that.
Was one of the questions with regards to beach operations and the
Yep.
the revenue, was that discussed at all about?
It was, yeah,
All right.
yeah. We hit them all.
Transfer station.
We could save ourselves the operating the beach access to the public. We could hand that over to DVR, and we could save ourselves $1 million in the lease right there. They obviously would need to hire people to run the beach that we normally pay for, beach op staff. And they would collect the revenue. Obviously, they would sell the tickets and everything else like that, but
If they chose to open it.
if they chose to
It's
open
our
it.
number one resource. I think
Yeah.
that is playing with a lot of fire right there.
It is, but,
It is.
but what,
You
what
have to look at
we're,
all options.
what we're
before-
trying to explain is that we looked at everything. I mean, like Mary had said from the outset, selling town property, closing the transfer station. These aren't necessarily things we want to do. They aren't necessarily things that we're going to do, but we're going to talk about them. And that's what we began the discussion with today. And so each of the department heads is going to tell us, okay, here's why this is a winner and here's why this isn't.
And then how much, I think
What
it's
would we-
really,
what would we
what the
save?
dollars,
Yeah.
what the
Correct.
dollars.
Is it worth it to do that thing that
Right.
we're contemplating?
Yep.
You know?
Okay. Mary, was there anything else?
No.
Okay. Ms. Sullivan Caruso had something first. Right to the microphone,
Microphone.
please.
I wasn't expecting to talk about the budget at all, but it seems to me that if we're talking about cuts that drove everybody to the Prop 2.5 to vote for it, and then they didn't happen, that's an important thing to note. And then how do we propose giving raises, such extravagant raises, when people are discussing cuts and closing town hall? How do you justify that?
Okay, I'll tell you. The question that you're asking about, let's be a little more pointed, because I've watched the conversations unfold online. There seems to be a general complaint about the fact that the HR director received an over $8,000 raise. What I think it's important to understand, and I'll be happy to provide you with a copy of this, as I will the board. Back on February 14th, the board was given a memo from the HR department explaining what the estimated cost of Article 4 in the warrant would be, and that cost was $188,000. The next day, the Finance Committee was given the same amount, the same information. Then this all went to the voters at town meeting, and under Article 4, the voters at town meeting approved Article 4, which included the funding of the salaries for those personnel positions to the tune of $188,000. It wasn't just the HR director that received a raise, but there were actually, 18 people, and they're all here on this list.
Nothing I would boast about. Not when cutbacks and closing things
Understood.
are coming up under discussion.
Nope,
I
and
think
it-
it's important for us to really consider that even the elders in this town are having difficulty with taxes, meeting their taxes. And I think that when we talk about closing the pool and finding revenue there, we have to take a very careful look at putting a cap on raises, maybe dialing back some high-paid salaries if we're talking about reducing hours to the public.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm not boasting, I'm explaining, because there's been so much misinformation, and there's an important distinction here. You can
don't
look
think
at one
it's
position,
misinformation.
you can look at one position and focus in on that. But is it fair to do that when there's 17 other positions that also receive raises in the 6 to 3% range? I don't think so.
I think we have to look at everything very carefully and be more conservative
And with
in our
that,
spending.
I offer you this, because this is everything, and I think this will give you a clearer perspective, and I think that's what is important
Perhaps
here.
I'll have a chance to look at it. But I
this is
really,
yours.
I beg this board to please take that all into consideration. We have people in this town who don't make $200,000 a year and are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to force them out with burdening them with more taxes or reductions of things. It's not right. It's immoral.
I couldn't agree with you more, which is why I didn't make this decision. The voters at town meeting did.
Perhaps it should go to a ballot, because I think that many people, now you may shrug your shoulders at that.
I didn't
but
shrug my shoulders.
Many people can't make town meeting for a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They have many obligations. And sometimes, and I'm sorry that disturbs you, Ms. Sullivan, but that's the truth. If it goes to a ballot, it awakens the public and gives them a voice, gives them an opportunity that they haven't always had that opportunity with meetings.
Thank you.
This is for you.
I think Mr. Baldwin had his hand up next.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Baldwin, 110 High Street. I happened to go into one of our stores in Duxbury a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed this sign from the Mass Lottery, and it's their sign. And it says that Duxbury received $1,059,662 from the lottery in '24. Where does that show up? Where is it?
I will tell you.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Great
Go ahead,
question.
Mary.
That lottery aid has now been renamed to the Unrestricted General Government Aid, UGA, UGGA. It is part of the state aid that we receive from the Commonwealth. It has been in place for well over 30 years. It used to be called Lottery Aid, and they just simply changed their name to UGGA. So it's part of
Well,
state aid.
So
Well,
it's
that-
in
that's
the-
fine, but-
It's in the revenue right here.
Correct.
Okay,
It's
so
not-
in other
we-
words,
it's not, this is not something that we're hiding or.
no,
whatever it
that's
is.
And it's
why-
not new.
That's what I'm
It's not
asking.
new,
So
yeah.
it's in the revenue,
Correct.
And it's,
just
and
like
it's,
our taxes
Yeah.
are in the revenue. That's where I'm, so,
yep, and it's based on a formula. And so every year, and at the beginning of December, the state legislature convenes what they call a revenue consensus hearing. And it's typically the first Wednesday of December, where they bring in economists and experts in the Department of Revenue to agree upon the percentage that they are going to increase UGA each year for municipalities. And that increase is applied to all
I'm not even
communities.
interested really in that. I understand. I've
So
known
what's your
about
point,
this
Mr.
for
So Mike,
years.
go-
What's that?
What's your point, Mr. Bowles?
My point was, I just wanted to know, and you answered it. You said it's in the revenue, and that's all I wanted to know. I wanted to know, where does it show up? And you answered it. Are there other things like that? There's nothing outside of the revenue. Everything that comes into the town, whether it's $1 million, 100,000, whatever, it ends up into the revenue.
It does. So Mass General Law says that every dollar that is generated by the community is general fund monies unless there is a statute that we have enacted otherwise.
Good, thanks, you answered it. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right.
Ms. Schofield.
Sue Schofield, James Road. I was just curious, hi, everybody.
Hi.
So on the proposal, if we close Town Hall, like Town Hall is closed to the public on Fridays, but it's still staffed. So
Yes.
how does that save money? That's one question. And then going forward, enrollment at the schools, is it dropping? And if so, how will that impact the budget?
Okay.
Thank you.
The second one I can't answer because I'm not on the school side, but we can certainly, I'll make sure that the superintendent sees this and we'll get an answer for you. With respect to saving money by closing Town Hall, we would save approximately 12 to 13%. Well, it would be at 12 to 13% of reduction in salaries for the people that are in these two buildings. So whatever that comes out to by each position, that would be,
Yeah, but
you
if it's
close it.
if we
staffed, I
close
just,
town.
I think she's asked.
yeah,
the
I'm just
question
confused. If it's still staffed,
Were you talking about currently?
Currently.
yeah, currently, I guess,
not a-
because in that.
Oh, that wasn't
in
a
that
cost
place-
saving.
And
Yeah, I'm
that's
sorry.
also, I guess, going forward. If you're talking about closing Town Hall, would it be staffed and just not open to the public? And I know these are just concepts and ideas.
It
I
would
get
be,
that.
the idea I had articulated to the board, it would be closed and not staffed.
Closed and not staffed.
Yeah, literally
Okay.
closed, lights off.
And
And
so
then-
that would be a reduction in
Service.
hours people worked.
Yes.
And there would be the money savings. But right now, the other part, I think, of your question, Sue, is the current situation is that staff is still working, but the building is closed to the public. How does that save us money?
It doesn't. In fact, what I'm going to do is read to you an email, and I'm glad you asked the question, that I had sent to Maureen, who just left the building, but she was copied on this, as was the entire board. I sent this on June 16th, but hopefully this helps clarifies. Hi, Maureen. Thank you for your email and phone calls. As you may know, the operating budget that was presented to the voters at the March annual town meeting under Article 5A included a number of cuts and reductions. As was clearly articulated over the course of the past several months, both before and after the override vote in March of 2025, during numerous meetings on that subject, if the override were not to pass, the overall impact of those cuts would result in a reduction in staff in several departments, thereby slowing down or reducing some services. As we've been working through this situation, the town has been making modifications in staffing that need to occur in several of our departments to maintain services with the understanding that the manner in which we deliver those services must change. Starting July 1st this year, Duxbury Town Hall offices will be open to the public during the following times: Monday from 8 to 7, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 8 to 4. The town hall will not be open to the public for walk-in traffic on Fridays. However, employees will be working on-site and have the ability to receive and respond to emails and phone calls. Since Friday, July 4th is a holiday, the first non-holiday date of this change will occur on Friday, July 11th. For the town clerk's office only, that office will remain open until 5 p.m. for election-related services on several specific Fridays to comply with the election laws. As those specific dates draw nearer, we will be working with the town clerk's office to provide additional information and updates to the public in advance. It's important to understand that the change in hours to walk-in traffic is not a day off for the employees, as they will be at Town Hall and they will be working. This change is necessitated by the need for the employees to complete their normal workload while absorbing the workload of positions that were reduced following the override vote in March, and to other employees' abilities to provide assistance where needed. For several years, the town of Duxbury has made improvements to its online systems to streamline processes, making it easier to communicate with and get town business done remotely and more efficiently. Residents and local businesses have increasingly taken advantage of convenient online bill paying and online applications, reducing the need to come to Town Hall. For any transactions needing to take place at Town Hall and not online, we will continue to be available Monday through Thursday, with our extended hours on Monday remaining in place. Unfortunately, necessary changes are not limited to just Town Hall. As of July 1st, the Duxbury Free Library will be closed on Sundays, and the transfer station will be changing their hours of operation from 8 to 4 Wednesday through Sunday to 8:30 to 3:30 Wednesday through Sunday. As you stated, notification of this change in the hours was posted on the DPW website. In addition, it is on an electronic message board leading into the facility. In the fire department, to keep shifts staffed, that is mission critical and life safety, cuts to extra events for which there is no funding include the following: Touch a Truck events, the annual duck drop at the Bluefish River, their annual open house, kindergarten firehouse tours, police department dare camp, police department open house, and the fire department is hopeful that they'll be able to use grant funding to perform school safety education. Further, the fire department is acutely aware that their reliance on mutual aid will increase, and as a result, ambulance revenues will decrease and emergency recalls of firefighters will increase. In the police department, the following services will be cut or reduced: the Junior Public Safety Academy, the DARE Camp. The K-9 unit will only be used while on duty. Off-duty coverage will be provided by surrounding towns, Plymouth County Sheriff, and State Police. Traffic enforcement and setting up radar trailers will only be done on duty. Police officer training will be reduced to mandated only unless approved by the police chief. Firearms licensing will only be issued when the officer is on duty. The Honor Guard will only be attending ceremonies as approved by the chief. The police department bike motorcycle unit will only be available while on duty. Car seat installations will only be made by appointment. All upcoming events will be staffed with only scheduled detail officers. No overtime will be incurred. All detective investigations will occur on shift unless approved by the police chief. All collateral duties will occur on shift unless approved by the police chief. No Metro or Metrolec, which is a consortium, call-outs, as those calls would have been an adverse impact on the department's overtime budget. And during the summer and off-school season, both the school resource officers will be reassigned to patrol duties. In the days ahead, all of this information will be shared with the press, the Duxbury Clipper, and posted online on the town's website. And this is an important distinction, because I think she characterized the conversation a little differently than I had remembered it, but that's okay. Regarding your suggestions to bring these changes to a town meeting, I want to clarify that the authority to implement these changes falls under the Town Manager Act, which specifically grants the town manager the authority to, and I quote, manage and be responsible for all town buildings, property, and facilities except those under the jurisdiction of the school committee and the Board of Library Trustees unless requested by either agency. Once again, thank you for your email. If you have any further questions or concerns, please let me know. Regards, Rainey Reed, Town Manager.
Okay, I feel a little awkward because I didn't even know that she wrote you the email and all that, but I appreciate the information that you presented.
You're welcome.
And now I understand, because there was a shrinkage in staff currently.
Yes.
So it's closed to the public because they have to work efficiently to cover the, okay, that's what I was trying to understand, and I appreciate that.
You have crystallized my thoughts perfectly.
And then, and I can speak to that because I spoke to, I think it was Sue Libby, and there was another gentleman, because I needed clarification on an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Kingstown Way or is it Kingstown Way? And it was very important to us for insurance purposes for our property. And somebody answered the call on Friday. They got back to me on Monday. It was very efficient. So, but anyway, it's hard to get, there's a lot that happens here at Town Hall, and it's very complicated. But I would echo the sentiments right now on pay raises in this time. It's very difficult for people who are who have tight budgets to understand it. So it's really difficult times for you and for so many members of the community. I don't envy your position at all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support of our municipal services and the efficient way in which it's done. Any other comments, questions? Mrs.
Town way.
It is. All right, thank you.
I have a question. Should I go up?
You go right ahead. If you can introduce yourself once you get there, it'll be great.
My name is Evelyn Millardo. I live on Meeting House Road. I've lived there for 40 years. On the questions that have been raised by this town manager, I understand the concept, but what I am looking for is an actual dollar figure that tells me that you're making those decisions based on a financial impact, as opposed to what I would feel as a town person, a punishment, because we didn't go along with what you proposed. So whenever a decision is made for the kinds of changes that you're making, is it not appropriate to put a dollar value onto that so we can understand that that's how you're working the budget to fit what the town needs? Because otherwise they're just conceptual things. I still don't understand how things change on a Friday, the way you've expressed them. I understand conceptually how it's done, but is there a dollar value? Because you know what? When it's a community who lives in the town, that has an effect on us. And maybe we could understand it better if, since we're talking about money being the issue, that you can actually put a dollar value to your decisions.
Okay. In this case, if I may.
Thank you.
The dollar value here already occurred. The expense of the employees that were laid off, that was the dollar value. Now what we're trying to do is react to the loss of those positions. And to be able to do so, we have to be able to find the time to catch up on the work that we can't do because of the reduction in staff. I lost 33% of my office staff in my office alone, my department alone. And now what was once done by 3 people is now done by 2 people. One of the reasons that we have to go to bi-weekly meetings is because Nancy and I cannot keep up with the pace of a weekly meeting schedule. That's not punitive. That's survival. We're doing the best we can to try and keep ahead of the workload. And the board's workload hasn't changed. I mean, they still get questions, comments from people all the time. So do we. So we're trying to keep up with it. And the best way to do that is to be able to have one day, which is the shortest day of the week, with the least amount of impact to the residents, of which I am one. And that day was Friday. And we thought, all the departments that are in this building and next door got together and we met over the series of 3 meetings and said, listen, what's going to be the best bet? Some people wanted to do Wednesday. Some people wanted to do Monday. But in the end, we realized that the least amount of adverse impact, which was primary in figuring out how to make this work, was Friday, because that was the day that we had the lightest amount of walk-in traffic, and it would be the shortest amount of hours, so it would be the lesser of the impacts of the other 2 days we contemplated.
Yeah. So I think the message is that it wasn't Rennie Reed making this arbitrary decision, right?
I'd never suggested that.
Well, let me just finish, please. All right? It was basically getting together with the town, with all the other departments, right? The DPW, accounting, all the other departments, trying to figure out how they're going to carry on and get the work done, right? Considering they had the reduction in staff without minimizing the impact to the residents, right? So Friday was the shortest day. So it wasn't Rennie's decision. It was basically a discussion over 3 meetings, you said,
Yeah.
with the department's head, and they reached consensus as to that would be the best day to be able to catch up on work was Friday morning.
I understand that, having worked in business as well.
Good.
However, if you were to replace those people who were furloughed, it would be a dollar value.
Yeah.
So there is the amount of money that we're actually saving. Because you're not replacing those people and there is the dollar value.
Right, and that was all discussed in the, at town meeting
So
in March.
you can say, because I've made all these changes, we're much more efficient, more effective, et cetera. But we've also, because not replacing these people, have made this kind of savings.
If I may, more accurately, I didn't make the changes. The voters did. I didn't decide who was going to be laid off. The voters chose to do that by not passing the 5B budget. And I understand that. I understand why they didn't.
So what, let me see here. Do you want to, we can give you a number, right? I mean, do you
I
wanna-
don't think you need to give me a number, you need to give the town a number.
No, but that number was already discussed at the town meeting.
Yeah. It was voted on. I mean, we went through line by line by line, so people knew exactly what they were going to do.
Understand.
At the town meeting, the 5A budget clearly articulated the amount of money that would be saved, right?
Was it associated with the kinds of changes you just described to us, though?
Those were a byproduct
Yes.
of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mary, go right ahead.
But, so
Thank you.
I just want to make sure to
Make sure we answer the lady's question, right?
well, I just would like to respond as an employee in this building,
Yeah.
that although the town has incurred reductions in force, and yes, there was a cost associated with that, that was part of the budget process from the last budget cycle. The fact that we have incurred those reductions in force does not necessarily mean that these departments are more efficient or more productive. In fact, they have fewer staff in order to complete the same volume of work, and in some cases, increasing volumes of work. So although you're associating a cost savings, there have been consequences within the departments who have suffered those reductions. The Public Works Department, I will speak for myself, the Accounting Department, the Assessors Department, Sue Libby that you mentioned. She is by herself on Fridays, and when she goes for lunch or a break, we have to close the window so that there can be no customer service on certain days of the week. There have been consequences, and the staff has had to absorb the workload that did not decrease, even though the staff decreased.
I understood. It's like CVS, you cannot get a prescription filled
Right.
during lunchtime.
Ms. Millardo, I appreciate you asking the question, because if you have the question, I'm sure others in town have the same question.
I can assure you they do have those
And in us
questions.
raising it this evening in a public setting that's video recorded, there's an opportunity for others, hopefully tuning in or looking at it on video, to hear the same answer that you just heard. So thank you very much for raising
And I
that.
appreciate your response. Thank you.
Excellent. Mrs. Sullivan, not to put you on the spot, but I see there are several members of the Finance Committee here this evening. Is there anything that the Finance Committee would like to discuss or share with us this evening in connection with this discussion?
Can I point out they do not have a quorum?
They do not have a quorum, and she didn't raise her hand. I'm specifically putting her in the spotlight. Can I have Mrs. Sullivan go up first? Thank you. All right. All right.
Good evening. The members of the Finance Committee are just here because, like the town manager and the finance director, our work will begin early in September when we start to formulate these budgets. And it is important that we have a very clear understanding of what the Select Board is trying to accomplish and what they're looking for. Doesn't mean we're going to agree or not agree, but it at least gives us an idea of how you would like to see it structured. So we're just trying to hear the same way that Rainey and Mary are trying to hear, so that we can then, frame our body of work with that knowledge. I think our last meeting, the clipper covered my comments extensively. Thank you so much. And but we need to understand that we're going to be doing 2 budgets again this year. And I think one of the improvements is last year that we really didn't discuss the override until we had gotten all the way through the balanced budget. And I think that this year we're going to be probably working in tandem on those issues, because as we do a balanced budget, implications are going to become quite clear as to the impact of what that means. And we'll work it through. Let's, we'll all just try to partner up and get it done. But we're here tonight just to hear what you have to say and to understand clearly. It's a bit of a different slant for you, all of you, to come through this way. So it's important for us to understand what you would like us to be thinking about as we did our body of work.
Thanks for coming out on your night off, so to speak, all of you. Appreciate it. Okay, is there anything else from the board? Oh, yes, Ms. Curtis.
Susan Curtis, High Street. The issue that I've had about closing the public building is it's a public building funded by public money, and it would have been awesome if it could have been on an agenda so that the public could come in and weigh in and let their thoughts be known, and also to have the select board know beforehand that this was happening. I think it's so important that you people give your opinion about what you think should happen at Town Hall, because we hire you to represent us and direct our town manager. So in the future, I would hope that you would do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mary, what would you like us to do for next steps in terms of moving it forward?
I just want to confirm that the only change that I heard discussed was on bullet number 2 to make sure that we include DPW.
That is consistent with my understanding. Amy?
As regarding the priorities, yes, but I think we've also asked for some numbers to be attached to some saving, cost-saving possibilities and that kind of thing as
Yep,
well.
and that will come when we prepare the first draft of the budget for September.
All right. Fernando?
Excellent, great,
All
good.
right.
Good,
So
thank you.
We
when
got a
should we
plan.
expect to see a draft, in that case, just for our planning purposes,
A draft of
the budget?
September.
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 Okay.
September.
All right, so is there anything else you need from us in the meantime?
No.
No.
If we do, I know where to find you.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Mary, thank you very much. A lot of hard work.
Thank you,
went
Mary.
into it. And thanks to the department heads who put their heads together to think of some options. Appreciate that. All right, next on our agenda is the town manager's annual evaluation. I think we have Jeannie Horn here as well. Jeannie, hi. Who would like to take us through this?
I'll start off if you don't mind.
yeah, go right ahead.
And guide you through it. So before we start, I want to share with the board a portion of my evaluation with the members, specifically the narrative comments. I had received a couple of questions from board members regarding the evaluation and thought it was best to keep the same format this year as last year. As you know, Town Council has advised that the town manager evaluation process is not governed by statute, but only by my contract and the evaluation criteria that we had agreed upon last year. Those criteria are silent on whether or not the narrative should be included, but because we had included it last year, I'm giving it to you here, so you have it. And now I will give you, now that's just the opening statement, but here's the memo that I provided to each of you. Dear members, I have read each of your individual evaluations, and I appreciate you taking the time to share with me your feedback on my performance over the last year. I value your insights and suggestion for opportunities to improve my performance in the coming year in the various aspects of this position. As part of this discussion, I have attached the following: the aggregated results of my most recent evaluation, including my goals for the upcoming year, a copy of the performance evaluation tool, a copy of my current contract, and a copy of the minutes from the June 3rd, 2024 Select Board meeting. You will note that the aggregated results of my evaluation are different. Well, I just negated this sentence, but I'm going to read it anyways. You'll note that the aggregated results of my evaluation are different from last year in that they do not include the written comments of the board. Town Council had advised that performance evaluations for employees may be withheld under the public records law in certain circumstances. And then I provided the court case there. Because the supervisor had found that employee review records fall within the core categories of personnel information described in the Wakefield decision as useful in making employment decisions regarding an employee and is exempt under Exemption C. In light of recent administrative guidance on the issue, there may be the ability to withhold or redact individual performance evaluations for employees pursuant to Exemption C of the Public Records Law under certain circumstances, including, for example, if such evaluations are not made public by virtue of being a document or exhibit used or discussed at an open meeting of the board or distributed to a quorum of the board, in which case the open meeting law would apply and make those evaluations public. As a result, in order to facilitate meaningful evaluation process, the numeric evaluation results have been aggregated and included in the attached without the individual comments. Again, I just gave you the individual comments, which can be offered by board members publicly at our meeting. Council has advised that in terms of the evaluation process, the town manager contract is the applicable law that controls this process. Thus, the manner in which the results of the town manager's evaluation are presented is derived from the contract between the board and the town manager. Specifically, as stated in Section 4, entitled Performance Evaluation of the contract, the town manager's performance evaluation shall be made on an evaluation form in accordance with specific criteria developed jointly by the parties and may be added to or deleted from as the board may from time to time determine in consultation with the town manager. The agreed-upon evaluation form includes the following provisions. Board members should each complete their evaluation within the performance evaluation software. The results will be compiled into one document that will be aggregated for the board. The chair should schedule an open meeting to discussion of the town manager's evaluation after the aggregated evaluation document is compiled. During the open meeting discussion, board members may generally state their comments regarding the town manager's performance. Public comment will not be allowed during this discussion, as this is an opportunity for the board to evaluate the professional competence of the town manager. The board will formally vote to adopt the aggregated evaluation document and/or any modifications thereto. And I look forward to our conversation on Monday evening. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. So now you have pretty much everything. You have the aggregated scores numerically. You have the aggregated comments as well. And then you have in the next sheet, which is the overall score, and it comes to a 2.60 out of a 4.0. And then you have my goals, my 4 goals as listed in the document, and then we have the select board goals, which were voted on April 7th. And I gave you a status update on a couple of them that I had there. Following that, you have the other attachments, which is the actual performance evaluation tool itself, and as I noted, my contract, and then the minutes of the 3rd of June last year. And then if you don't have them, did I send you suggested motions, if necessary? There they are if you need them. And that's where we are. So, but thank you again for taking the time to evaluate. I appreciate it.
Jeannie, do you have anything to add in terms of process? Amy.
Might I speak to the process?
You may.
Because this is a complete change from, we had a process in place, the process had been endorsed by this board, and on Friday, very late in the afternoon, we received a memo that said that due to some changes, that we would not be receiving comments that the other board members had made that support. I have prepared a statement. I'm going to read the statement anyways, because I am not prepared now. I've not seen the other board. We're just handed this now. So this packet is new, and it sounds now as if the comments that support the scores are going to be made part of the record and, again, and part of.
There they are.
Open to the public.
You bet.
Correct?
Yep.
So
I have
some of
extra
this
copies,
may
too.
be a little bit moot, but I felt strongly that I needed to make a statement for the record regarding the recent change to this process, of which I was only made aware this past Friday. I believe strongly that the board's annual evaluation of the town manager is an important responsibility. This review must be conducted with thoughtfulness, transparency, and integrity. The process requires a numerical score, but more critical are the accompanying comments, examples, and suggestions for improvement that provide the context and meaning to those scores. In preparing my own evaluation, I spent hours reflecting on the past year's performance and drafting constructive, detailed comments. With a scoring system ranging from 1 to 4, I focused heavily on providing examples and feedback that were intended not only to justify my scores, but also to support my fellow board members in understanding my perspective, and importantly, to provide transparency to the public. This process is inherently difficult. It takes place in an open meeting and can be uncomfortable. That makes it all the more important that each member's full evaluation, including both the scores and written comments, be part of the discussion and the official record. I have long advocated for each member's evaluation to be shared in full rather than, I can never say this word right, anonymizing or making it anonymous or aggregating it into a single document. I believe that endorsing an overall score without seeing the comments behind those scores or having mine shared with others is counterproductive. I find it difficult to conclude that I am best serving the residents of this town if I'm expected to support a final score without the benefit of my colleagues' insights or without offering them mine. Had I known that my comments and examples would not be shared or included in the final record, I may have approached the scoring differently. I'm not going to attempt to summarize or condense the comments. I don't have to do that now. They're here. My words were chosen carefully and thoughtfully. When I ran for the seat, I made a commitment to transparency. While this past year has brought its challenges, and while I've been disheartened by the tone of some discourse, I remain committed to open and honest governance. I believe that full transparency in this process is necessary if we are to rebuild trust and uphold the responsibility we owe to our residents. Finally, I urge my fellow board members not to rush this vote. This memo outlining the significant change to our adopted process, now backpedaled, was shared with us only late Friday. We owe it to each other, to our residents, to the town manager, and to the town employees to ensure that any performance evaluation that we endorse has been conducted, reviewed, and discussed in full accordance with our established procedures. A decision of this importance deserves thoughtful deliberation and thorough vetting by the entire board. So all that being said, we now have each other's comments
Yep.
that support the numerical scores, which
Correct.
we did not have up until 2 minutes ago.
Correct.
So I would respectfully request time in order to read through this lengthy information, in order to really understand where you're all coming from and endorse a number at the end of this, which I think is the goal.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on Amy's point?
Did we just get, I apologize, I had to step out.
Yeah.
Just got a memo handed to us that includes the individual comments without attribution as to who made them. There's 5 sets of comments here.
Brian, you want me to quickly reread that for Mike's benefit?
Yeah, and what was the reasoning on this? Because it differs from.
Here's what I said. Before we start, I wanted to share a portion of my evaluation with the board members, specifically the narrative comments. I received a couple of questions from board members regarding the evaluation, and I thought it was best to keep the same format this year as last year. As you know, Town Council has advised that the town manager's evaluation process is not governed by statute, but only by my contract, and the evaluation we agreed upon early last year. Those criteria are silent on whether the narrative should be included. So you got it all. You got everybody's comments.
And I'm glad you did that, Randy.
I am too.
You're welcome. Oh,
Right.
you didn't say that. You didn't say it. But, I know you were. Because you actually had mentioned it to me, yeah.
Yeah,
And I know
yeah.
Amy had too, so
Yeah,
now
yeah,
you
so
have the whole
basically,
thing.
this was really important. So we're back to the way we did it last year,
Right,
which is good.
which is good, but typically we would have had some time to
Oh, yeah, no,
review
agreed,
each
agreed.
other's comments.
Agreed.
So-
Yes.
Correct.
Why the strange hiccup? And I'll tell you, it's because the open meeting law, the public records law changed on May 19th, and it threw everything for a loop, and it took a while to figure out what could and couldn't be shared, what should and shouldn't be shared. But in the end, I said to council, I said, listen, these board members have had this thing before. I can't see a reason not to give it to them.
Good.
So there you go.
I appreciate it. I'm glad that that was the final decision.
Yep. I don't know that it changes the numeric results, but the numeric results are still there. And I think you have motions in your packet if you so desire.
Questions or comments from the board?
I actually, let me see here. Jeannie, what is, the third motion does not mention the compensation change. So based on that evaluation, based on that numerical score, what does that come out to be, that compensation change?
Oh, hold on. She may have, do you have it with you? Hold on, let me see. Can I borrow that? Yeah. So, the PAR shows just a 2% in general increase, and that is an amount that would go to $7,484.94. This may make it easier for you to see. I only have that one, so.
Right. And that was the 2% COLA, which everybody got, right?
Correct.
Are there 5 evaluations in here?
There should be.
Yeah.
are.
Okay.
I thought there was, I looked through it. There is 5.
Yeah.
Well, anybody like to explain their rationale behind the numbers? We've seen the aggregate numbers. And this is the opportunity to discuss it amongst ourselves in open session.
Yep.
Again, I haven't had the benefit of reading yours, so if I had questions, I wouldn't know.
I'm happy to just speak in a general sense. This is a 4-point scale, so the public understands. 1 is the lowest, does not meet expectations. The other 3 are different flavors of meeting expectations, meet, exceeds, or outstanding. My personal perspective, being a manager of people, is that I don't do grade inflation, and I appreciate work that's done well, but I have a pretty stringent bar, where a 2 in meeting expectations means you're doing your job pretty solidly.
Yep.
I used to hate professors like that, who would say a B is a great grade when you're sitting for the final, but as a manager, I think it's important for us to have an appreciation for what the scoring key means, and just from my own perspective and explaining where I was coming from, and Rainey, I think I made this clear to you as well. Any 2s that I gave, which was, I think, most of my scoring, was to show that I think you're a solid performer. There are areas where I think you were going beyond what's required, and that's where I gave you 3. But overall, I think you're doing a solid job in terms of the categories where we're scoring you on for the public. That's leadership and vision, execution of policy, financial management, and importantly, I think for financial management, we're not holding you accountable for a vote that may or may not have happened with an override. I mean, that was a discussion for that's an issue for the voters. I think we put together what we thought was a good faith proposal, and I certainly wouldn't want any of us to hold that vote against you. So when we say financial management, it's not just a vote, it's how we do during the year based upon the resources that the town is legally authorized to collect. Relations with the select board, employee management, and the last category, number 6, is community relations and engagement. And I think overall, you're representing the town well, you're serving us well.
Thank you.
We have a bag of lemons here to a certain extent, especially financially, and we're making the most of it. And I look forward to continuing to get through these difficult financial times with strong leadership at the helm.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
May I say something?
Go right ahead.
Not so much on the scores, but I know when I was chair, I sent you an email to this effect. But I think an important role of this board is to support our town manager. And I'm not expecting an answer tonight, but I think it's just an ongoing point I want to make is, and for Mary too, is do you feel supported? And if not, what are ways in which we can support you? You are our town manager, obviously, and the CEO of this town. And I think it's incumbent on this board to support you to help this town function well. And I just, I know you try to do a million things at once. And I think that's just an important thing to think about going forward is we ask a lot of you. There's 5 of us now. There's these monetary concerns. There's individual agendas, priorities, but there's only one of you, and there's only one of Mary. And I think going forward, it's not a goal, but I would encourage you to speak up if we're not supporting you, or if we're not, or if there's something we can do, because it's only going to help the town.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Amy or Fernando?
Ruminating, thank you.
I had some areas that I felt could certainly use some improvement. I outlined them in my review. I've asked, and, I think we have a morale problem at Town Hall. Cindy and I are working on the survey, the anonymous survey to try to get a handle on that. But clearly, there's morale issues. And I think some simple things that I've pointed out in past years, and I continue to point out, I think some of the best managers and bosses, kind of walk around to the different departments and establish, a friendly, personal, hi, how you doing, how's it going? I really believe that, that a small thing like that could really go a long way. And I've mentioned this before, and I don't think it's happened, but, I really am hopeful that we can try to help the employees to feel also supported, because I think that's really important.
Thank you.
So under leadership and vision, I think the fiscal year 26 budget was extremely challenging, right? And positive was the formation of the Sustainable Budget Task Force. I think, though, we went back to a business as usual approach, developing both the balanced budget and the contingency budget. I saw that as a missed opportunity. And the community engagement was actually driven by and supported primarily through individuals volunteering the time. So this was the first time in 34 years that the town has faced us a challenging time, and I think basically a kind of a more strategic approach was a missed opportunity. You have, however, in discussions, you reflected on what took place, and you've already started to address the lessons learned, right? So this is all, there's strengths and opportunities here, and I think you've reflected on what happened last year and are working to address that. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Execution of policy, you understand policy. Financial management, I gave you a little bit less of a meets expectations for the same reason. I think it was a tough year. I liked the bit there about Article 4, the additional Department of Public Works facility bonding. That was pretty good. Borrowing authorization, you got us out of a hole there. I think you're working on your relations with the Select Board. I think you're understanding. That you have five bosses, and we're all different, and so you've received my feedback on that, and I have seen an improvement in that area. So I appreciate that. I think in terms of employee management, there's something going on, and I think we need to understand that before we take action. But you are working on it, and I appreciate the opportunity to try and engage myself personally as a select board member with the town employees. So I give you meets expectation for that, and the same for community relations and engagement. It's going to be really tough. Like I said, it got very tense, and it will continue to be tense with the community. There's been house prices. Your asset value has gone from 600,000 to 1.2 million. All right, the nature of I think the nature of the town is changing a bit as reflection of that. And 34 years since the last override, and so we're going to enter the same discussion again, 5A and 5B. So I appreciate the start in looking at this differently. We need to approach it differently to be successful or not, and how we engage with the community. We need to do a better job with that. So, that's my comments.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Fernando, if it made me so bold just to politely challenge just one of your points about the five bosses. I know what you meant, but just for clarity, he has one boss as this board acting as a collective whole. And Mike, this kind of goes to your point, I think, about feeling supported. I know that we don't individually direct Rainey to do anything. And Rainey, I would hope you would let the board know if you felt you were being directed by anyone in particular, which I know you're not. But I just want to double down, so to speak, on Mike's very well-articulated comment about this being a two-way street as well. We certainly have priorities, and we depend upon you to do the day-to-day. But just like we were talking last agenda item about the budget for next year and having resources, we want to make sure that the communication goes both ways as well, and that you feel supported by the board as a whole, and that there are things we need to do as a group to further enable or empower you to do the work that you need to do. Directing, how many direct reports do we have?
17.
It's a bunch.
Yeah,
It's too many.
17, yeah.
That we provide that, whatever's within our power to do that. So thank you both for making those important points. And
Thank you.
So maybe the
thank
boss's
you.
clarification, we're all individual characters and.
You can say that again, for sure, yeah.
Rather than
Characters,
bosses,
for
that
sure.
we're all unique, right,
Yeah.
in our way. So.
All right. Is there anything
good.
further from the board? Okay. May I have a motion?
So I just want to double check,
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry, before you go, Rainey, was there anything else you'd like to
No, that
address?
was it. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much, and
Yeah.
you all taking the time.
And I think, anyway, I always have, I write it up and I have a face-to-face conversation with you.
Yep, and I appreciate you doing
Yeah,
that. Thank
I
you. It
think
means a lot.
That's, anyway. So I just want to double check with Jeannie, one more time, the 2.6, that represents the 2% COLA, which is what everybody got, right? So we're in line with policy, we're not with the policy. So for the audience, Jeannie is nodding vigorously.
Can I
Yeah.
just clarify? It's
Sure.
in
Go right
line-
ahead.
It's in line with personnel.
Personal policy, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other collective bargaining agreements are still in negotiation.
Correct.
Okay.
But we are within the frame that we're consistent in application with all our employees within this state, right? Within management. Okay. Shall I read out the motions
Please,
then?
yes.
Okay, I move that Select Board adopt the results of the aggregated evaluation document as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to
Abstain-
abstain. I, again, have not been provided an opportunity to read through the other comments and have a meaningful conversation about the comments, which I think was an important part of this, this process, so.
Okay. Thank you. Motion carries 3-0-1. Next motion.
I move that the Select Board accept the mutually defined and prioritized goals as presented. Can I just double check that we're looking at can I read out the goals there? I think it's important, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah, they're in the thing.
Yeah, I know, that, for the.
Oh, yeah, right.
For folks. So this is voted on Duxbury Select Board on April 7th, what about the 2026 ones? That in 2025, right? So budget, the town manager will obtain the consensus of the Select Board regarding the budget message prior to distribution to department heads. The town manager will create a process and/or timeline to solicit Select Board feedback on the budget and any requested contingency budget. And that was 1A, and 1B is discussions with the community regarding the town's sources of revenues and expenditures. That's goal number 1, budget. Goal number 2, planning and zoning. A, hire a qualified full-time planning director, completed July 2025.
Nice job on that, Rainey.
Yep. B, by June 30th, 2025, the full-time planning director or the town manager in the absence of the planning director will provide an update on the status items in the envisioned Duxbury comprehensive plan to implement outstanding action items. We're behind schedule on that one. And C, continued discussions regarding sea level rise, climate resiliency. Basically, goal number 3, public health. Work with the Water Advisory Board, Board of Health, PFAS Working Group, and other necessary committees to advance water quality and PFAS mitigation initiatives, including exploring and presenting to the Select Board potential funding sources. Goal number 4, beach and recreation. Continue working with the Duxbury Beach Reservation to help implement and maximize covered activities in the DBR permits, including deterrence to increase oversand beach access and to continue to facilitate transparency regarding beach closures in process and ongoing. Agree.
Beach and Recreation for B, improvement of open field spaces, continue joint discussions with School Committee, Town Recreation Department, and Duxbury Recreational Collaborative. Final goal, governance and administration. Prepare a town meeting article for 2026 annual town meeting to move the date of our annual town meeting from March to May, commencing with the 2027 ATM. 5B, employee engagement to attain a better understanding of internal and external challenges and department equity. Goal number B. Right, those are the goals and objectives that we all agreed to.
That is
Those were
correct.
mine if you wanted to read those two.
All right.
And just if I could comment on that briefly.
Go right ahead, Mike.
At least number one, the budget, and definitely the last one about the employee. Just perusing the comments and reading a lot of the comments that were made and the ones that some of you highlighted, those goals address a lot of the concerns that some members had. I think that's, and it's important that we're all working to be a little bit better. So this is great.
Good.
But yeah,
Thank
We
you.
can do, try to do better.
The town manager goals, this is what,
get the beach open tomorrow.
Funny.
goal number one, continue to work with Alternative Energy Committee in advancing municipal aggregation plan and program. That's goal number one. That's yours. Goal number two, create Veterans District with Town of Kingston for the board's consideration. Goal number three, revise the earth removal regulations for the board's consideration. And goal number four, work through the board's 2025 goals as
As you just read.
I just read. Okay, thank you. All right, I move that the Select Board accept the mutually defined and prioritized goals as presented.
Is there a
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0.
I move that the last final, do I read out the amounts and stuff like that in there?
Can I see it? I don't know what it says. Yeah, you can, if you prefer to, you can
Okay.
do either way.
All right.
Yeah, either one's fine.
I move that the Select Board accept the compensation change for Rennie Reed's town manager, commencing July 1st, 2025. The pay change is a 2% general increase that amounts to a biweekly exempt based on 40 hours per week in the amount of $7,484.94. And increasing is the total salary annually exempt based on 40 hours per week to $194,608.49.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain because I abstained on the vote that makes that, this is the result of the other vote.
Okay, so 3-0-1, motion carries. Thank you. All right,
Thank you all very much.
thank you, Rainey. Let's move on to the town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of quick updates for you. The first of which is regarding the East Street Bridge. I get a lot of questions on this, and perhaps you folks do too. What people want to know, there's a website you can look at, but I'll save you the search. The closure in Duxbury has been extended through September of 2025, so we're hoping to have the whole thing wrapped up by September of 2025.
What was that?
I'm sorry, September of 2025 is when they're looking to have that project done. So September of this year, East Street, we hope to have it reopened by then. Yeah, you're welcome.
Quicker than I was expected.
Yeah.
This is what they actually sent me in an email. I thought, okay. It was originally going to be November,
Right.
but they've been hustling, I guess, and
Well, I thought it was,
which is good.
maybe time's flying.
I talked to some people who, well, I walk down there, and so people who live on East Street love it.
Oh, I bet,
It's like,
Yeah.
there's
Cul-de-sac.
never been
They're in a-
such
yeah, they're in a giant
small amount
cul-de-sac.
of traffic.
Yeah, yeah. A quick update on the beach. One piping plover incubating nest is incubating a nest. 15 broods are on the beach, and 13 fledged broods. A total of 50 nests and 13 broods have been lost this season, and an estimated 54 pairs were on the beach. The leased terns continue to incubate nests, feed chicks of all ages, and some chicks have started to fledge. DBR wanted to share an incident that occurred last weekend to remind the public that following DBR and town beach operations staff instructions helps to ensure that bird crossings are safe and efficient for all involved. We know that many beachgoers are respectful of DBR and the town's efforts on the beach, but those who are not are putting staff at serious risk. Last weekend, a safety incident occurred on the back road during a plover brood crossing. As normal, DBR staff stopped the traffic as a plover brood entered the road. A vehicle traveling north initially stopped for the crossing, but after a few minutes began to move into the crossing area, approaching so close that the DBR shorebird monitor had to put a hand on the vehicle to have it stop. As the monitor moved to talk to the driver, the vehicle continued past the shorebird monitor and through the active crossing. Beach operations rangers stopped the driver as they exited the beach to explain the rules and regulations. A police report was filed with the Duxbury Police Department after the incident due to the safety issue for staff, and state regulators were notified of the potential take to a listed species. In addition, other vehicles that were stopped at the crossing did not adhere to DBR staff directions and continued to slowly move their vehicles into the crossing area. Not adhering to town or DBR staff instructions on Duxbury Beach puts all staff present on the road at risk. It also disrupts the birds' movements and extends the amount of time that all vehicles have to be stopped. Again, I'll say it again, and you all know what I'm going to tell you. The speed limit on all sections of the back road is 5 miles an hour, so we ask people to maintain that speed, please. Staff have observed a significant increase in the number of drivers passing other vehicles on the road, driving above the speed limit, which is inferred by visual assessment or when monitors are driving 5 miles an hour and they're passed by other vehicles, swerving vehicles while speeding, and driving aggressively, whether they're revving the engine or tailgating. Due to the narrowness of the road, field staff working along the road, as well as a high level of recreational users on the road, passing and speeding on the back road creates a public safety list. So please, folks, slow down, don't pass, don't rev engines, don't tailgate. It's not necessary. You'll all get out there.
But isn't this, since the crossovers are closed
Yes.
these vehicles that are in violation that you're referencing are vehicles that are Saquish and Gurnett?
No.
No?
Can I?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What are they?
So number one, the town has open cutouts. So
Yes.
if you have a OSV permit, you can go out to the cutouts on the back road. So technically, we're on the hook for anybody, whether you're going to Saquish or one of the OSV permits. As I understand it, this is self-reporting, and there's no police officers taking with a speed gun or anything like that out there.
That's my understanding as well, Mike.
So these are civilian bird monitors monitoring speed. I would encourage Duxbury Beach Reservation, and I think this could have been a more of a safety incident based on a young person putting, or even an older person putting their hand on a vehicle. I don't know if a police officer would do that either. I think, simply taking down the plate, reporting it to beach ops, giving a call down the road, there's security on both ends of the road. That could have been a really challenging situation. So I hope that, this doesn't happen again. But certainly don't like to hear about anybody threatening the permit or entering, potentially causing a take, because all of those could impact the entire beach. But I worry about those two pieces of that press release.
Right.
I also would want, there's a number of beaches, including Plymouth, Nauset, Raceway, that are now open to OSV use. They all had nor'easters, they all had late plovers. We're down to, 13 broods that have been alive for a couple of weeks at least. I'm hopeful that we can get this OSV open. It's my understanding that we haven't had any opportunities to get open in the last couple of weeks, but I'd like more of an update on where they're fledged, what's holding up certain crossovers. There's 3 crossovers here, and why there aren't opportunities on any of these crossovers where a number of beaches from here to the Cape, including our neighboring Plymouth, are open. I know we're not all the same, and birds can nest where they want, but it would seem that some of them have probably fledged. I'm not a birder, but I think that the time has come.
Yep, I will
I hope.
ask Artie in the morning,
Thank
as you know. No
No,
problem.
I know you will. I don't know that it's already monitoring fledging.
Right.
I
So-
don't want to beat the dead horse, but I'm still not clear on how many Duxbury permit holders can these cutouts accommodate? It seems to me, do we know?
It's small.
It's a small amount.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if there are these infractions of people not, abiding by, letting the chicks cross or whatever these bird monitors, it just seems really frustrating to me that the leaseholder of the beach and our ticket holders kind of get blamed for incidents that I am, I probably they weren't involved in, so,
It's a choice and it's a challenge because Beach Ops wants to open this to as many, and so does DVR, to as many people as possible, even if it's 12 on cutouts. And the
I
issue with
appreciate
these
that.
takes is if we open the road to sticker holders, we're on the hook for the people going out to Saquosh, we're on the hook for people that go out with OSV. They make no difference. We're not keeping track of, we get a take no matter what. That's how I understand it. And as soon as we open the road up, or if we open one crossover and we close the rest, we're responsible for that portion of the road. It's the risk reward, they have to balance risk when they're making these decisions. I'd say it's a nice thing to have some of those cutouts open. I was there last night. It was very nice.
I'm sure that the
You can walk.
permit holders appreciate that, and I
Yeah.
just find it hard to believe that they're the ones who are abusing, and putting in jeopardy their ability to get out there. I just
No,
think
I know.
that we're getting blamed for something that our permit holders are not doing.
It could be a permit holder. I don't know.
But I think what I'm hearing is there's no, I'm in a hurry exception to the 5 mile an hour.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. You're right. Right.
Okay.
Everybody just needs to slow down.
All right.
It's
Is
not,
it-
And 5's tough. I mean, you're
It is.
rolling.
Slow, yeah.
It's rolling speed.
Yep.
Yep, it is.
It's like walking in front of the car speed.
It
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Anything further on the town manager report?
One other thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a follow-up from your previous meeting, you had requested a breakdown of the costs for the legal services associated with 3 specific categories. You may remember what that sheet looked like. It was this thing.
Yep.
Yep. You wanted to know MBTA costs, legal costs, FOIA request legal costs, and Fieldston Farms 40B legal costs. The MBTA total dollar amount for legal costs from August of '24 to June, through June of this year, was $40,376. The cost of FOIA requests was $5,635. And the costs of legal fees associated with Fieldston Farms 40B was $2,339.50.
Anything from the board?
A quick question, with FOIA requests, that's a process, is there and there's a demand, not just on legal fees, but also employees getting the data. What's the rules and regulations with regards to FOIA requests?
If I understand it correctly, and I can be corrected by this, and I'm not being offended if I am, we have to, if there's a FOIA request that comes in, the first 2 hours are essentially free to do the work. We can charge for copies if they request paper copies, excuse me, or they may ask for electronic copies, which we provide for free. If the request is going to take longer than the requisite 10 days, we let the requester know that. If there's going to be fees associated with it that go beyond the 2 hours, then it's the cost of the employee who is qualified to do it at whatever that employee's lowest rate is. So if there's 3 employees and they can all handle it, you pick the one with the lowest rate, and then you can charge that hourly rate to complete the work. In this case, though, this wasn't for FOIA requests specifically. This was for questions related to FOIA requests to see if it was legal to provide the information, because there were a number of, 84 in fact, FOIA requests made by an individual through that time period.
Okay.
So they required further, it required further research from town council.
To confirm that
To
we
make sure-
we
so-
were able to supply that information.
Yes, to see what it was we could and could not provide, and make sure that we were following whatever legal parameters were associated with those FOIA requests.
Okay, all right.
May I ask a question about that? Since we now get our packets electronically, would it save on these FOIA requests to just post on the website all the information that we're seeing? And that way, someone who's interested in these documents can obtain it that way and not have to come back and ask for these costly requests.
Yep, it would in some cases, but in these cases, this was not information that would have been discerned through the packets. But yes, you're right, we can provide that on the back end of a meeting. Yeah,
It seems like it would be easy to do, and if that
Yep.
alleviates some of this.
Nancy and I will chat about it and see what we can do. But again, these FOIA requests were different than that. They were a departure from what we would normally just hand the folks in the audience.
Okay.
Yeah, I suspect that handing the packets is not a requiring legal,
Nope.
unless it was something in an
Right.
executive session or
Right.
something.
Yep,
Okay, what else do we have?
that was it. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's move on to committee appointments, reappointments, and resignations.
Okay, I move that the Select Board reappoint the following personnel to the following committees. To the Audit Committee, Al Hoban, Friend S. Weiler Sr., and Vincent Walsh. To the Audit Committee for term expiring in 6/30/2026. To the Cultural Council, Mary Coogan, Therese DiMuzio, and Mandy Ferrelio for term ending 6/30/2028. To the DEI Committee, Matthew Gambino, Martha Dennison, Dr. Danielle Klingeman, Jeannie Horn, Joanne Moore, Jennifer Turcotte, Fred Weiler Jr.
You want to get sworn in?
Yeah, would you make sure the junior's in there for Fred Weiler on the DEI committee? He's a junior.
I just said it verbally.
It wasn't on the
Yeah,
agenda,
it
so I
was-
wanted to make sure there's a distinction.
All
Oh,
right.
you don't want, you want to do that one too,
Oh, he's not a
Fred?
police officer.
I mentioned it verbally. Is that good enough?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay, you're welcome. I didn't see you up there, so. Meg Jordan, Caitlin Sheehan, Fernando Guitart, Karen Wong, and Mark Prince for term ending 6/30/2026. To the Duxbury Affordable Housing Trust, Fernando Guitart as the Select Board voting member for term ending 6/30/2027. To the Duxbury Bay Management Commission, Jackson S. Kent Jr. for term ending 6/30/2028. To the Fence Viewers, Jeff Chandler and Priscilla Lone Chandler for term ending 6/30/2026. To the Hall's Corner Working Group, Wayne Dennison, Thomas Dacey, Emily Partain, Kathy Cross, Lester Lloyd, Michael McGee, Select Board Rep, Emmett Sheehan, for term ending 6/30/2026.
Can I just make an addendum to that? I don't believe I'm a voting member of that group. I'm just a liaison.
I'll double check.
All right.
Okay.
You
Check
can
it.
keep me off for now.
Okay.
I don't need you.
I
go to the meetings,
We'll,
it's just-
we'll effectively
I don't
resign
vote.
you at the next
Right.
meeting.
I don't
How about
vote,
that?
yeah.
And no vote. To the Historical Commission, Edward Mayo for term ending 6/30/2028. To the MBTA Advisory Board, Brian E. Glennon II for term ending 6/30/2026. To the Registrar of Voters, Susan C. Kelly, Town Clerk, for term ending 4/1/2028. To the Shellfish Advisory Committee, Al Hoban, John McCluskey, Kenneth McKim, and Jake Emerson as ex officio for term ending 6/30/2028. To the South Shore Recycling Cooperative, Norm Smith, DPW Highway, for term ending 6/30/2028. And let me just, I was coming back to that because it was not a reappointment. It's-
Second.
Well, hold on, he's not done.
We're having a
Hold
little discussion here, right?
Go right
And so as, to the Old Colony Planning Council, Matthew Hines as the delegate appointment for term ending 6/30/2028, and Alison Shane as the alternate planning rep to the alternate delegate appointment for term ending 6/30/2027. There, done.
Second.
That's all of them, right?
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
We have one resignation, that is Stephen Dubuque from the Duxbury Affordable Housing Trust. Thank you for your service on the Duxbury Affordable Housing Trust, Steve. The following boards and committees have available seats. One seat is the Board of Health as the alternate, Conservation Commission, Design Review Board, Finance Committee, Fiscal Advisory Committee, and the Nuclear Advisory Committee. There are 2 seats available on the Affordable Housing Trust, the Economic Advisory Committee, and there are 3 seats available on the Duxbury Cultural Council, the Municipal Commission on Disabilities, and the Taxation Aid Committee. If anyone is interested in volunteering on a board or committee, you're encouraged to fill out a talent bank form, which can be found on the town's website under the Forms and Documents tab.
Great, I see that we have a Frenweiler Senior, a Frenweiler Junior, and a bunch of vacancies. I believe there's another Frenweiler running around who might be able to volunteer as well, so you can have the hat trick? No? Okay. I tried. All right, thank you all for your volunteer service.
Yep.
Couldn't do it without you.
Yep.
Next, we have one-day liquor licenses. First is Duxbury Beach Reservation Beach Ball 2025 for September 6th, 2025.
I move that Ms. Chris Lutazzi, Executive Director and as representative of the Duxbury Beach Reservation, Inc., is granted a one-day all-alcoholic license to hold their DBR Beach Ball 2025 on Saturday, September 6, 2025, at the Caterers Parking Lot, Duxbury Beach Park, from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., subject to the conditions of the license.
All right. Mr. Schofield, are you speaking to this?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there any update on the other highway project? That's one exit north?
My God. Thank you. My God, I live there. You'd think I'd know the name. Jesus. No, that one I don't have an update on. That one's still the same timeline, which is a year out.
Okay.
But you know what? Because you said that, I'm going to find out, and I'll mention it in my manager's report on the 11th. How's that?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so Mr. Schofield was not speaking to this one-day liquor license application. Okay. Is anybody here to speak to the Beach Reservation Beach Ball 2025? Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. huh?
I'm happy to hear from Chris if she'd like to address us. Otherwise, I think we're ready for a vote. No, we good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, I'll take a motion.
I move. I thought I said I move.
Oh, okay. All right, Chris, I'd be happy to recognize you if there's anything you'd like to say about the application for the one-day liquor license.
No, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay.
But, Mr. Chair,
Go right ahead.
Ms. Latazzi, is there any opportunities coming up in the next few days with respect to OSV? Has your staff looked into it?
Am I able to share a screen?
You may.
I think so. I'm looking at Nancy.
Wait. Can I just be blunt? Is this an
Going
agenda
way
item?
back, I didn't know
Well-
she was here.
I'm happy to entertain it for just a moment here, as it relates, it may have some influence on who
Whether
can show up
grant-
at the beach ball.
Whether we grant the license.
No, it has no bearing on that, but
Yeah, no, I'm not holding up a license.
So I'm just checking.
I wonder if the birds are coming to the
This
party.
is a real broad
Oh, Mike was
conversation.
asking if we had looked at where the birds are. I can't zoom out anymore because it's against state and federal regs for me to share these maps.
Yep,
But this is an indication of two different pairs. This is a crossover.
yep,
And they're checked 8 times a day. So you
understood.
can see this was at 10. So if you looked at a different crossover, hypothetically, this one kind of looks like crossover 3. And you can see the interactions there. And if nobody takes screenshots of what I'm doing here,
Yep,
we're good. And then this is where crossover 1 is.
right. And I guess my question is to the fledging. You said you're checking them every 2 hours. It's 50 yards,
And I
correct?
said six times a day.
Yeah, now, it's 50 yards, correct, in flight?
Yes, it is sustained, 50 feet in sustained flight, not 50 yards.
Okay. And we're not seeing that with any of these broods that are hanging out by these crossovers?
Well, that's why we're checking them
Yeah,
more than up to 8 times a day.
right. And I appreciate that. I
To
know,
see
I
what
know
has
that.
flown. That's how we can tell you that we only have these birds that haven't fledged. However, we're not speaking about lease terms.
I know.
All right, why don't we bring it
Yeah, well,
back?
another day. I'll check in with you maybe tomorrow or
Boy,
something.
Mike really
I'm
wants to.
happy to do this publicly, so there isn't this thought that DBR isn't checking or comparing to other beaches. I'm happy to speak to that, and if the town would like to rethink their thoughts of the countdown to take off to alert people of how many broods are keeping crossovers closed, we're happy to share that information as well.
Thank you very much. I
All right.
appreciate that offer. And for the record, I've actually observed your monitors, thanked them. I know that their presence out there actually helps us get more access. So I want the public to know that. I think that I appreciate what DBR does with that, so.
All right, thank you, Mike.
The
Thank
average
you, Chris.
check for those beaches is once a day. So checking them a minimum of 8 times is to everybody's benefit, so we can see them fly and open a crossover.
Thank you, Chris.
So I have a motion. Did I get a second?
No.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Next,
you, have a nice night.
Thank you.
well, next, Friends of the Council on Aging golf reception scheduled for September 8th.
I move that Mr. Paul Brogner, as a representative of the Friends of the Duxbury Council on Aging, is granted a one-day wine and malt license for their golf tournament reception on Monday, September 8, 2025, at the Duxbury Senior Centre, 10 Mayflower Street, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., subject to the conditions of the license.
Okay, I do not see Mr. Brogna here. I don't think he's online.
Second.
Are we expecting anybody to present?
He's on, he was gonna call in, but he got tied up with the planning board meeting.
Okay.
That's fine.
This is, there's no changes from any other previous.
All right, this is an annual event, yeah. Okay, did I hear a second over here? I think I
Yes,
did.
second.
All right, great. Any discussion? Hearing now, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 4-0. Finally, for the one-day liquor licenses, we have the Duxbury Yacht Club 150th Gala Celebration scheduled for September 13th.
I move that Ms. Constant Ennis, as a representative of the Duxbury Yacht Club, is granted a one-day all-alcoholic license to hold their 150th anniversary gala celebration on Saturday, September 13th, 2025, at a private residence located at 160 Powder Point Avenue from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., contingent upon the conditions of the license.
All right, is there, yes, ma'am.
Yes, Holly Wilburn is here. I'm here. Do you have any questions?
All right.
Okay,
You are here.
any questions?
No?
Well, glad that you sat through the meeting.
Most enjoyable.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming. I think we're in pretty good shape. Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
We're very excited. It's a landmark occasion for the club. Most clubs do not exist that went into operation in the late 19th century. So it's a big occasion for the club. And tickets sold out in 36 hours.
All right.
Excellent.
Happy
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Isn't that great?
That's great. Anything further from the board? I don't see anything, so I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. All right, good luck. We have minutes, open session minutes from July 14th. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the event permit. Duxbury Rotary Club Annual Duck Race for September 13th.
I move that Mr. Peter Napelio, as representative of the Duxbury New Rotary Club, is granted permission to hold their annual duck race on Saturday, September 13th, 2025, from 1:30 to 3 p.m. approximately in Bluefish River at Bluefish River Bridge, located on Washington Street, contingent upon the conditions of the permit.
Second.
All right, and I don't think we have anybody here for that, right?
But I do have a question, though. Maybe Rennie can answer it, because I think the usually the fire department comes there with the crane and basically have all the ducts in there. And there's got to be crowd control with the fire truck and everything else. But I seem to have read in your note that that's not.
Right, and I'm
So
glad you brought that up.
How are we gonna, how are they gonna, who's gonna fund this? Is this the Rotary Club gonna pay for all the overtime and everything else like that that's incurred on here, or what?
I'm not 100% sure, but my guess is they're going to do it with on-shift employees, so they're not going to bring extra people in. They would use whoever's available that day to be there. Because that was one of the things that I listed. There were a number of things in both
Right.
police and fire that they weren't going to be able to do. If they can do them, they will, but they'll do it with on-shift staff instead of bringing in people for overtime.
Okay. So rather than a speed trap somewhere, it's going to be crowd control.
Right,
Make sense?
okay.
Yeah, but we have to be sure that we're consistent and fair with
Oh,
these
absolutely.
things moving
Yeah.
forward, you know, because town events, we know that the 4th of July just paid. Now, I understand that that's a holiday,
Yep.
and so they paid
Yeah.
for the police and fire overtime
Right.
charges.
Right,
and-
right,
and
right.
put the
Absolutely.
charges for the bodies to be there, but we have to be sure that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And
Yeah, I see what you
And
did
the
there.
ducks.
Or
That's
for the
good.
duck.
ducks.
I
That's
like
funny.
that. Very good, Amy.
Yeah.
But you're quite right.
Yep. I will
Yeah,
verify.
almost like there's a,
There's somebody that has a question.
Okay.
oh, by the way, I bought some ducks.
Did ya?
I bought some ducks. In fact, I won once.
They make sure they get all these ducks, right? We're not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they
Don't worry, I
pick 'em
wanted
all
that the
up,
first
yeah.
year, because you see them going everywhere.
Yeah. No, they have
Little
a,
kids go
All
out there and get
right.
them.
We have Peter. Peter, if you could introduce yourself for our record, please, and I'd be happy to recognize you.
Yes, Peter DePellion. We've already arranged for the police department, and we are paying their fee. And we're waiting to hear what the fee is from the DPW. We're not using the fire engine.
Good.
We're gonna use the dumpster.
the dumpster. Oh, you're gonna dump the ducks
Dump 'em
over the
in.
bridge. I like
The
that.
fire engine was too expensive this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, that's really good news. And so you've been able to sell enough ducks to cover the expenses, hopefully.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's great. That's good news.
Thank you
Okay.
for
We're
that
in the process of
clarification.
selling on weekends at either French Memories or Brother.
Right.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Anything further from the board? I did hear a motion. Did I hear a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. No further discussion. I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstentions, the motion carries 4-0. Good luck, Peter. Thank you for your presentation tonight. Next, we have open session minutes from July 14th.
I move to approve the July 14th, 2025 Select Board open session minutes as presented, and Amy to abstain, please.
Okay, I did have two small typos that
Don't
I've
even think about
discussed
it,
with.
Amy.
Okay.
We've been ordered to abstain.
Apparently.
That
I'll
I've discussed
second
with
it
Nancy,
anyways.
yeah.
You can, you can.
Right, so basically as amended then?
Yeah, it was just fixing two typos, but there's
Okay.
no substance. All right, so we have a motion and second. So Amy will abstain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions.
Abstain.
3-0-1. Thank you very much. Next, our announcements.
Announcements.
There's just one.
The next scheduled Select Board meeting will be Monday, August 11th, 2025 at 6:30 PM.
Would you like to declare a bonus shellfish season?
I cannot wait. Suggested motion for the bonus shellfish season for the month of August 2025. I move that Select Board declare a temporary bonus shellfish season for one, the commercial harvest of soft shell clams for the month of August, regulations as attached in the document. Two, the commercial harvest of
Do you have cohogs?
cohogs.
There it is.
Clams for the month, I can never get that one right, thank
Good
you.
helping.
For the month of August, regulations as included in the attachment.
Okay, we have a motion. May I have a second?
No, no,
You'll have to see him afterwards.
Yeah.
Cohog.
May I have a
Cohog?
second? You got it. Nice job.
I'll get it right. Yeah, we have a second, right?
Second.
All right, we have motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion carries. May I have one more motion, please?
I declare a motion to adjourn this select
Second.
board meeting.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Sure.
Hearing none.
All right. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.